fifth dimension. Aquarius I am. We in the Aquarius age for the next 2,000 years, you dig?
Swing low, time to move on. Light years in time, ahead of our time.
I want to free your mind by helping you understand the zodiac signs. That's right, you're live with Aquaman in the zodiac zone where the cosmos is your home. I'm your very own Ampu, the real urban guru, coming through on the mothership. So let's open up your cosmic memory bank and swing down to earth where the shit stain. Hey, what up everybody? Welcome back to Astrology TV. I'm your host, Ampu, the urban guru, aka Aquaman, Aqua Boogie, also known as the Union Soldier, where you see me with this flag right here, man. So we're gonna have an awesome conversation today. Why Kanye West told or tweeted, "I love the mind," or like the mind of how Candace Owens thinks, right? I'm going to show you that. But before I get into that, I just want to have a real straight up conversation with you about the truth real fast, about how Black history in this flag right here and what it does to your psyche, but most importantly, some shit that nobody's telling you, okay? So let me get into this quick introduction real fast, because I too am an advocate of Candace Owens. Get the book, it's coming out in February. I love the way she thinks, and she's telling the freaking truth, okay? So let me tell you something what people are not telling you, okay? You know, I think for Black people, you have to put yourself in the mindset of, well, if I were in the time of slavery, at the time of the Civil War, what would I have done? Would you have stayed a slave and joined the Confederates? Or would you have said, bump that, I'm up out of here, I'm joining the Union force at this time, and I'm going to get freedom, because now if there's ever a time to get free, it will be at this particular time when these Union soldiers are coming through, I would think. So pick a side, just pick a side. And I think for the most part, everybody would be voting, I'm going with the Union, like Harriet Tubman did. Harriet Tubman joined the Union Army. We love Harriet Tubman, and we see her as a great emancipator, but we never attached the fact that she was a part of the Union Army rolling with Colonel James Montgomery from Ohio, okay? We never ever talk about that. And we have to delve inside of this, because the truth of the matter is, it is only this flag right here is the only nation that came and got Black people out of slavery. It wasn't no African nation that came and got us. It was no Islamic nation that came and got us. It was no Native Americans that came and got us. In fact, in the 1866 treaty with the Choctaw and Chickasaw, the United States government had to tell them to stop enslaving Black folks. Look it up, the 1866 treaty between the Choctaw and Chickasaw. You're going to see that they had African American slaves, and it was treating us worse than how white people was treating us. But nobody talks about that crime, okay? And I'm not here to point the finger at that. I'm just here to share some facts so you can see the story from a holistic point of view, okay? Now, let's rewind the tale. The United States of America, because I know you will argue and say, well, the United States of America has slaves. Listen, the United States of America has always been against the institution of slavery. I know that's hard to believe. Here's the thing. We have to understand, well, when is the United States of America on the record book, okay? So the 13 colonies had slaves. If you want to give United States of America, well, the Declaration of Independence, that's true in theory. They put it on paper and had to fight for that. You got to remember, the American Revolutionary War, breaking loose from England into becoming her own nation. You can say the Battle of Concord, 1775, is the first battle in a sense. Then a year later, 1776, the founding fathers like, listen, we're going to declare this in the middle of a fight. We about to write this paper. We about to make a declaration. We're going to stand on this. But King George is still sending troops, and they're fighting for that. So you got to get a victory first for that declaration to stand true. That victory doesn't come until 1783. That's like an 8-year war, Battle of Concord, 1775 to 1783. That's an 8-year battle. In 1783 is the Treaty of Paris, and King George is like, okay, I give up. Go ahead, do what y'all gonna do. And the United States of America is finally here, okay? So it's no longer the 13 colonies where slaves exist. And even within the 13 colonies, you have people who were against slavery, Quakers in the northeast corner predominantly, okay? Facts. So 1783 is here, and he said, okay, we officially, we won the war. We need to start having some meetings over the next couple years to talk about how we're going to form a nation. What's going to be our rules, our laws, our constitution. So 1787 come known as the Philadelphia Convention, also known as the Constitutional Convention, how we're going to form the United States of America. The United States of America, now mind you, Abraham Lincoln ain't even born yet, okay? My commander-in-chief. Don't get it twisted, man. This guy right here is one of the greatest. And listen, everybody recognizes him as being the greatest president, and that's not from the consensus of black people. And that's very interesting to the psychology. The world sees him as the greatest president of the United States, but black people don't give him that just due. That is a mental sickness. Just got to call it for what it is, okay? So, 1787 is here, the Constitutional Convention. The Founding Fathers is trying to figure out how we're going to form this new nation. There's a conversation that's had that says slavery will end, and in 20 years, you're going to stop sending black folks out of here. That's going to be the first prohibition that we put on the record book in 20 years. This creates a big disturbance from people like Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, because, you know, they heavily rely upon slavery. So then this is where the 3/5 compromise come in. It is a known fact. I guarantee you, if you go out to the general public and you just ask people, hey man, what do you remember about the 3/5 compromise? Majority of I guarantee you, you're going to hear the misnomer, the myth, the legend that somehow became a fact in our mind. And this is very interesting because I believe we learned this information too early. And when we visualize or read about the trauma at the time of slavery and what was taking place, and when this rule was instituted or this compromise was instituted, we automatically think that 3/5 of them not counting the entire slave population for the South to vote, we think that it meant that white people said that we're only 3/5 of a human being. Even recently, who we call the greatest, the GOAT, Jigga J, by far, without a shadow of a doubt, he even expressed that same sentiment and was free, right? Talking about 3/5, I believe is the phrase, but that's a misnomer. That was a compromise that was actually developed by the North to say, hey, you can't count all of them for your representation in Congress. So if you understand the numbers game, 3/5 is 60%. So therefore, the white boy down south lost 40% of his representation, how many representatives they will have in Congress. We shrunk them, okay? At that particular time, pretty much we shrunk them. They went from 12 reps. They should have had 12 representatives in Congress, and we shrunk them down to 9. Okay, so 3/5 was a way to cleverly institute the art of war to stop Southern white folks who wanted you to be a slave, to stop their representation in Congress. And nobody's showing you the art of war form of it. And that's cool. I guess that's what I can do. Okay, so that's a fact. 3/5 has absolutely nothing to do with the value of a human being. Facts, look it up. Okay, but yet ask people, you're going to see that their definition is going to be it has something to do with the value of a human being, and it's just not true. Okay, so the fact is this: the founding fathers are on the record to say slavery is going to end, and slavery eventually ended. And I don't want to make this about that because we're going to get into what this video is about, but it's just time that we really understand the great truth, man, that this flag right here, is this nation 100% clean? Are there some things that need to be cleaned up in the judicial process? You know what I mean? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a possibility. The question to ask yourself is, has the United States, and the United States needs to ask this question, have you been compromised or infiltrated by Confederates on any level? Because no member state of the 50 should be having a Confederate flag as their state flag. That's a no-no. Mississippi, that is a no-no. Okay? So are there Confederates masquerading around as Union soldiers? That's a very strong possibility. We've seen this. This happened before. You got to understand that America, the United States of America, had to come in slowly. The free states had to come in slowly and overthrow the slave-holding states. At one point in time, slave states outnumbered the free states, and then there was an even Steven, and then there was an overthrow, and eventually they got abolished altogether, and it's outlawed, and you and I are free today. There's a spirit of truth and strategy that we're not talking about. That strategy does come from later. It starts with the founding fathers, to be honest with you, but later it takes on another form in 1854, known as the Republican Party of Abraham Lincoln. It says, listen, we're the party that is going to get rid of slavery. They didn't have to do that. You got to understand that. They didn't have to do that. Okay? That's one. All right? This is a fact. Stephen Douglas, who Abraham Lincoln was debating, called Abraham Lincoln a black Republican, and they called the Republican Party Black Republicanism. Look up the 1858 debates of Senator Stephen Douglas against Abraham Lincoln and see if they weren't calling the whole platform Black Republicanism, because of what they stood for us as a people. Facts. Facts, man. Okay? So United States of America is very, very new, have to come in, infiltrate a system. And how do you overthrow a system without going to civil war? Because nobody wants war. We today don't even want war about the injustices because we never, ever start a war or never even defend ourselves and think we're justified. And we probably could be justified. Oh, the cop killed little Ayanna. The cops killed this person. We tired of injustices. But yet we don't go to war. Nobody wants war. So how you think you're going to get free from a white man's point of view that have to fight his own kindred and brother to get you free, trying to go a way that totally dismisses war, because nobody wants war. It's very costly and it's very ugly. You don't even want war. I don't even want war. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to start doing clever, systematic takeover things, such as the ruling on Dre Scott. United States of America said we can't be citizens. No. That's not a reflection of the United States of America. The vote was what, 7-2? So technically we only need 3 more votes to be the majority, because 2 people said, Dre Scott is a citizen. So we only need 3 more votes, and I say it all the time. Chief Judge Roger Taney was come from a slave-holding family. So we know where his loyalty lies. There was another judge, Catron, Catron, I believe it's spelled, Catron. He had slaves in Tennessee. Okay, so he's a Confederate. And then there's another one, Campbell. He leaves the United States Supreme Court and becomes the Assistant Secretary of War for the Confederacy. So he's a Confederate. I just showed you. We need 3 votes. And I just showed you we had slaveholders and Confederates inside of the Supreme Court. So they're really not a representation of the United States of America. Their ideology is a reflection of the old 13 colonies, which would later become the Confederate States of America until they got their ass beat. Has the United States of America dropped the ball? Absolutely. Let's look at the election of Rutherford B. Hayes from Ohio. Okay? And that election was so tight that it was a compromise had to be reached. And the compromise was the Republican Party said, listen, let us win, and what I'll do is I'll withdraw the federal troops from down south. This is after the Civil War, okay? I'll withdraw the federal troops from down there from assisting in making sure that these black folks, the Freedmen Bureaus and things like that, making sure black folks are okay, and y'all can just go on about y'all business. And then the Southern Democrats said, cool, withdraw the federal troops, you can be the president. And now here come the black codes, which later becomes Jim Crow and all of that. That stuff is not United States of America. That stuff is the Confederate States of America. After the war, they're mad that they lost the war, and this becomes a way of retaliation through local, municipal, county, city, and state legislature and policy. Is the United States guilty for you should have left the troops right there? Yeah. But here's the thing, how do you do that when the election is a spinoff and you potentially may lose the presidency and the Democrats get in? At that time, we talking like 1870 something. So if the Republican Party loses the loses Congress and loses the head office, what you think is likely about to happen? You probably about to go back into slavery, potentially. So this shit is chess. You have to give up something. So we may have to give up the Freedmen Bureau, and as a result of that, we may have to start undergoing some crazy civil pressure, right? Called water hoses and dogs being sicked on you, until we can keep growing in our number. Because remember, the takeover is the minority. It's not the majority. We the minority in this particular case, until we can keep advancing further and further in time, and eventually, the shit gets eradicated. Okay? These are facts, man. These are facts. Okay? So I do have to say, one thing I do like about some things that I'm seeing, what's her name? Catherine Williamson, or Marianne, I'm sorry, I think her name's Marianne. America needs a deep moral cleansing about this particular issue. All right? And black folks need to get our minds right and really understand the history and the art of war. But now let's get into some astronomical information. I just wanted to share that with you. Union Soldier style, man. I see you in the field. Peace. Okay, everybody. So let's go through this real fast, man. Real fast. Get your study hat out. I'm going to show you an amazing coincidence. Let's look at astronomy. Since the Western world wants to exalt astronomy as an official science, well, let's use it. 6/8/1977, it is said Kanye West's birthday, if the record is correct. Let me put that out there. If the record is correct. The planet Mercury on that day is located from our vantage point to the right of the bull's knee, from our viewpoint. Now, we need to keep this area of space because, in memory, because I'm going to tell you that this is the cosmic memory bank of where Mercury was when Kanye West was born, period. But what does it mean? Now that's when we get into astrology, because guess what? Whether it be Egyptian, whether it be Babylonian, whether it be Greek, whether it be Roman, all of these ancient cultures had styled or defined the planetary energies and zodiac energies as gods and goddesses, which are nothing more than an expression of our own psychology. That's it. They're just psychological expressions of ourself. Facts. Okay? What did they say about Mercury? Mercury is mental exercise, reason, study, speaking, intelligentsia, which means the mind. So again, going back to Kanye West, notice that the planet that deals with the mind and thinking, for him, is located to the right of the bull, not too far from the knee. Facts. Now let's move up almost 12 years later. Candace Owens is born 4/29/1989, if the record is correct. Please note the position of Mercury, ladies and gents. It is in the same position. It is at the knee of the bull. A couple degrees over her. Mercury's a little bit more advanced, higher in degrees, but in the same freaking position. So when Kanye West says, I like the way Candace Owens think, or maybe he said, I love the ways, I don't know the exact quote, the way Candace Owens think. I'm going to say it, I love the way Candace Owens think. Okay? When Kanye West would see her or hear her, because Mercury is words, speaking, we saw that, speaking. When he would see her, Candace Owens is nothing more than a cosmic mirror, a reflection of the mind that has the same values of Kanye West. That's all it is. Okay? So when he says something like, him and Trump are dragon brothers, him and Candace are brothers and sisters of the mind, because Mercury, which gives us direct insight into how a person thinks. Okay? How a person thinks. That was in the same position where both of them were born almost 12 years apart. Coincidence? Or mathematically coincidence, when two things coincide? This is mathematics, folks. This stuff doesn't lie because it can be measured. And I'm just going to leave it at
that. Okay. So you want to know why? This is why. He loves her mind. They have the same freaking mind. Now, he can't articulate the way she can, and neither can she articulate the way he can. But they have something in common, and these two parties met, and that became the common theme. And I'm just showing you astrologically. You know how they say, when the stars align, I guess the stars align, right? Sure. And I'm just showing you when they align. All right. So if you need me, man, get at me. Give me a call. 267-403-4078. All right. I know I haven't been over here doing this kind of stuff lately, but I had to because Candace Owens, her book is coming out in February. Go get that. The Blackout. Pre-order that, man. Understand this, man. This is a great time. We're living in the greatest bull market. That's interesting. Both of their Mercuries appear in front of the bull. So we think based off our vantage point. And the reason I say so we think, because Mercury really isn't right there. But that's a whole nother conversation, okay? The Earth has a tilt at about 23.5 degrees and is casting an illusion that the planet is right there, but it really ain't. But nevertheless, it's in the same spot from what we can see. But this is the greatest time ever. We're riding the bull. Bull is like, who is that? Merrill Lynch. Their logo is the bull. The bull market is Wall Street when the market is going up. We're living in a time right now, the longest bull market ever. So reason why I haven't been doing the astrology stuff is because I've been over at my baby, theprosperityinvestmentgroup.com, buying up real estate. Get at me, theprosperityinvestmentgroup.com. Again, if you need me, 267-403-4078. Peace.